All right, here is the ultimate street legal bad boy. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me questions, so I thought I'd do a video tutorial of the mid-travel extra wide full-sized 4 adult buggy bad boy. This car is totally built. It's made to accommodate bigger guys such as myself. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. I fit in the car extremely well. This car will accommodate 4 full-size adults, probably all the way up to about 6'10". I'm not joking. I mean, it's for big guys and gals. The driver's seat does adjust. It slides forward so your wife or kids can drive it. It's on tracks right there, or sliders. It doesn't have adjustable pedal assembly, but you can buy one of the sliders, I'm sure, and then slide it forward if you want to with easy modifications. But it's perfect to show, your wife or your kids how to drive stick shift. Way more safer and reliable than any of the UTVs or side-by-sides out there. I mean, we're talking the Razors, they've caught fire. The Can-Ams have problems with, the front ends on when they first came out, and some of the timing, I think, chain issues, the YXZ with the clutch. Now you got the Kawasaki H2 with those clutch problems burning up. Some people with 25 miles and they have the stop and sail on the Kawasaki's. They haven't came up with a fix yet. Polaris came out with a 1600 cc, so you don't have to wear a helmet in the dunes. And then, the Honda Italian and the YXZ are both discontinued. Honda Italians had problems, I think, with the like the rear intake, like a bolt coming loose going into the motor. So these are Volkswagens, street legal, been around for a long time. Ferdinand Porsche, so literally Porsche does Volkswagens. These things are bulletproof. Ask yourself, have you seen a Razor or a Can-Am or any of those UTVs with 10, 15,000 miles? I mean, they're junk, or they're at the bottom of a ravine or at the bottom of a mountain. So these things are super reliable. It's completely all welded. And I always tell people, I do a little demonstration. So you got your A post, B post, C post. I wouldn't really call this like a D post, but so if you want to do a true comparison, go to your local power sports store and just shake the car from side to side. Grab the B post and see how much body roll and flex is in those things, because they have a short wheelbase and a high center of gravity. And that's why everyone's rolling those things and they're putting their arms out, snapping their arms, getting hurt. These things are pretty much indestructible. Yeah, I mean, anything can break, but the sandrails are coming back. People are putting in, Volkswagens with the old school sandrail roundup on Facebook. You got the Myers-Manx, the dune buggies. Volkswagen's what started it all. Then people started going, to Corvair motors. Then they have, started pushing the envelope with, V6s. They went with, some Hondas. Hondas are great motors, you go with a little J32, an Acura or Honda Type S, or J35. I mean, some of those Honda Pilot motors, I think they have about 245 horsepower forged internals. Guys are doing Subaru swaps, EJ20s, EJ25s with turbos out of Legacies, WRXs, 4-cylinder Hondas with the VTEC. I have a couple videos on those. I've had 3 of them, as a matter of fact. I've had a Manx with the VTEC. I had another sand buggy with an F16B, and then that was a 5-speed Mendiola, and then also a little CRX motor. Ecotechs, they have plenty of Ecotechs, which you can swap those in here if you want more horsepower. I'm not a big fan of them, but they had 2.0s, 2.2s, which were supercharged. You can do turbos, aftermarket turbos, and then 2.4s. They put those in the Chevy Cobalts, the HHRs, the Polaris Slingshot, ran them from 2015 to 2020. So they've been around for a long time. People are putting in, LS1s, Corvette motors, LS2s, 3s, LS6s. So you can put a awesome monster motor in here, but this thing's set up to be reliable. I mean, literally, you can put in a Subaru swap if you wanted to. You can sell this, put this for a Porsche replica, a bus, a Carmen Ghia, but it has enough space. It's 4 bolts, 4 17 millimeters, disconnect your fuel line, your throttle cable, and your battery, and it'll come right out. I mean, you just obviously unbolt your remote oil filter right there. But this is the bad boy. It's fully loaded, like I said, 4 full-size adults, removable steering wheel, full carbon fiber dash right there, high beams, low beams, got your oil temperature, oil pressure, and then your volts. It never gets hot. It has removable windshield, headlights, tail lights, off-road lights, rack and pinion steering, 4-wheel disc brakes, toolbox, which you're gonna need to pull out any of your buddy's UTVs. I always carry tail rope. Cool thing about this, 4-wheel disc brakes with your disc proportioning valve. So a lot of guys are not running front brakes in the sand, so you can actually turn this to all disc brakes in the rear. It's cool for the street to have the 4-wheel disc brakes. And then you have your, not really a parking brake, but that's for the line lock when you're on a hill. So you just push that down and it connects to the brake right there, and then you just release it. But that is the car in its entirety. Has shocks up front right here. These are Pro shocks and then dual Pro shocks in the rear. These are, I believe, 3x5 trailing arms, Porsche 930 CV boots and axles. You have your upgraded load gear bus transaxle to carry the high horsepower of the motor. That's what you want for the dunes. You can change this to a freeway flyer if you want to go to the freeway and make it all street driving. You can do a double freeway flyer. A lot of those ring and pinions for the buses, I think, are 512s, and then you can kind of convert them, you know, if you want overdrive to like a 388 or like a 349 if you want to do a taller third and fourth bus gear. And I can point you in all the direction for swaps, for transaxles if you want to upgrade to a different, you know, fuel injected 4-cylinder motor, a turbo, you want to do a V6, a V8, upgrading the transaxles from this to an 091 or to a Mendiola 2D or MD4S, but it's set up right now to be super reliable. Has 5-lug wheels all the way around. These are Gear 1 hubs. Some people are a little worried. They think that Gear 1's out of business. They're just backed up with parts. Everyone's trying to get parts for their cars for dune season. So they're still in business. Everything's readily available. You know, we have Parts Authority out here, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Pep Boys, MP USA, Churco. Churco is who built this car out of Tucson. They have J-Bugs, Clip 1 VW, more VW parts. Dan's, I think, performance parts, off-road performance parts. We also have Dan from Competition Engineering. He does great work. What else is out there? Doug's Bugs and Bunnies Fish, you know, with all his motor expertise. Dawn Sun Performance. We have Sam Limo out here. We have Tato Motorsports out here. We had Poor Boys out here. We have Shock Therapy out here. We have MTS Off-Road out here. I think we have Smitty from another shock builder. But everything out here is readily available in Arizona. Parts galore. So there's nothing. Even Fodrils. Fodrils sells stuff. You know, Douglas wheels, any type of parts that you need. Anything's readily available. You can always buy stuff online, Amazon. But this thing is built to go out on the back roads, the country roads, the fire roads. It's perfect for, you know, if you want to go fishing, if you want to go hunting, you can put your game up here. Like I said, you know, you got your game, you can put your spotlights up here. This is all fully removable. You got twin coolers back here. You can remove those. I'm sure if you really wanted to make this, you know, a bench seat, you could turn this into a 5-seater car. There's plenty of room if you have kiddies. But it's perfectly set up right now for 4 full-size adults. It always turns heads. It is absolutely an eye catcher. I call it eye candy. You know, it totally gets thumbs up everywhere it goes. The old school Roundup sandrails are coming back. If you look on Facebook, this is where it all started, and this is the bad boy car. I mean, the sky's the limit on these things. You can do so much, but this thing is set to be super reliable, turnkey and go. Like I said, I've kept up on all my maintenance. I'm a stickler on it. I got like all the Zerk fittings that I've done with the grease, as you can see, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, over here. Same thing on the shocks here, the Zerk fittings right there, all right here. I'm such a stickler on my maintenance. I'm even old school from the way I was raised by my father. Is some people say it does nothing, some people says they say it works, because I have magnets on the oil filter right there. Catch any type of fragments, any type of metal. But these things are super, super reliable, super easy to work on. They're true Webers. Some people will say, okay, hey, these Webers, are they made in Italy? No, they're not made in Italy, because Weber stopped making carburetors in Italy in 1992. They transferred to Spain. The car was built long after 1992. So these are true Webers with the W stamp, made in Spain. So right there, and I can show you on the back that they are actually made in Spain. I think I can go probably right there. You can kind of see they're made in Spain. 44 IDS. Now, the trick is on these is to run your Volkswagens a little bit on the tad of the richer side. What I mean by richer, getting a little bit more fuel versus a little bit more air, because when they came from the factory, they tend to run a little lean. And you know, if you have to go through emissions, this car you don't, but if you had to go through emissions, they can be kind of a pain with your air fuel mixture. So, you know, when you're talking to people on stock motors, you're gonna get a variety of different sets for your timing, whether some people say 5 degrees above top dead center, when some people say 7 degrees above top dead center. Some people even go as far as 10 degrees above top dead center. Are you doing your regular static idling of the timing? So are you setting your timing when it's idling and then at full advance at, you know, 3,000 to 3,500 RPM? You know, you're going to get, you know, 28 to 32, 33 degrees, you know, at full advance. Every motor is going to be completely different. So the only thing that I recommend is it's experimental, trial and error. Do what works best for you. Don't try to follow everyone else's footsteps. I do what works best for me. I try to run the best parts, and I strongly believe in NGK spark plugs. You know, there's 3 sets of spark plugs. You know, are you going to go with the Bosch 14 millimeter half inch, or are you going to go with the NGK 12 millimeter 3/4 inch, or the Bosch 14 millimeter 3/4 inch? So you have to know what kind of plugs. Don't just guess. Pull the plugs that are in there, pull them out. I love NGKs. I think they run absolutely better with NGK plugs. Then you have to think about, okay, well, what's going to be the plug gap? You know, the standard plug gap, some people say 26. The standard's about 26 to 28. If you're running electronic pointless distributor right there, you know, electronic ignition, you're going to be at 0.030. You know, setting your valve lash. So when you go ahead and do like oil changes, you know, you should always just double check to make sure your valve clearance, what is the valve tightness on the heads, you know, your valve lash. You know, between like 6 and 7 is kind of where you want to be, 0.006 to 0.007. You know, like I said, you know, talking about timing, your static, your idle, 7.5 degrees before top dead center. But when you're at full advance, you might only be at 28. You know, you can't be at 40. You'll burn up the motor. Oil capacity, I always run 20/50 non-synthetic. Kendall racing oil is always awesome. I always change the oil. These things hold about 2.5 to 2.7 quarts unless you run an oil sump and the oil filter. It's got your breather element over there. And then going back to just the overall maintenance. I mean, the car is set up for being super reliable, but also you can daily drive this anywhere. So it does have the keyed ignition, so you can do that. It might be a little difficult for me right now to take the steering wheel off. Well, it wasn't with one hand, so that prevents theft. Keyed ignition. And then down below you have your emergency, I don't know if you can see it, But your emergency fuel turn-off valve right there, so you can kill the fuel pump. And then a couple other extra things I do if I'm going to park it somewhere. You can always disconnect your coil negative and then disconnect it from the center of the distributor right there, just so you have basically now, let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. You know, if you're out somewhere, we don't have to worry about, you know, locking it up in a garage. But at the end of the day, if someone wants it bad enough, I guess they're going to take it in this day and age. The cool thing about this is you don't need a trailer. A standard Volkswagen tow bar will work with this. The only thing that you have to do, unless you wanted to modify it with a tow bar from Harbor Freight, which would run you about 60 bucks. If you use a standard tow bar, it's going to be 4 bolts. 1 there, 1 at the bottom, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I probably said that wrong, but 4 bolts. The front bumper comes off and you can use a standard tow bar, put it in neutral, tow it anywhere you want to go. Like I said, it's way more fun, way more reliable than any of the Razors. You don't have to worry about wearing a helmet. You don't have to worry about belts breaking. You don't have to worry about rolling over. 4-wheel disc brakes. I mean, it's fun for the whole entire family. And it's like an awesome car. The pictures do not do justice to it. You need to really see it in person. Yeah, it's got, you know, a couple little minor, you know, paint chips here and there, but you can clean this all up. Like I said, it's an awesome ride. It's street legal. Go wherever you want to go. Like I said, teach your kids, your grandkids how to drive stick shift, your wife. That's a lost art now. You know, if you want to put a turbo on this thing, you know, hey, 2332 with a Garrett T3, T4 turbo, you know, set it up to, you know, 5 PSI, 5 pounds of boost. You know, you can have roughly, you know, about 170 horsepower. If you wanted to do, you know, like 15 PSI, they're making Volkswagens, no BS, with 400 horsepower with turbos. If you look at the MP competition for 2025, 2026, I think they just had it. I think 2025 was naturally aspirated non-turbos, where I think the top line was like 194 horsepower without a turbo, and they're doing competitions. So, I mean, the sky's the limit on these things. Guys from all over, you know, build these things. They take pride in them, and you can make these things scream. They're super reliable. I run premium fuel, and like I said, 20 W50 oil, non-synthetic, but it is built super, super tough. Very, very strong components. There are no cracks anywhere in any of the welds. Built here in Arizona. Everything is super, super, super tight. Like I said, it's extremely safe, and it is not going to disappoint in any shape or form. So like I said, if you want to come by, we can drive it. If you want to come and inspect the car, you can inspect it. I got a 2-post lift, a 4-post lift. You know, there's so many extra things that you can do to this. If you want to put a full body here on the front, you can do that. I've seen people do the little snap, and they put like a little canvas right there. I kind of like the way it looks, but you can put a little black, almost I don't know if it'd be vinyl, but or matching blue, and take it to an upholster and have them make a custom vinyl cover that is removable there. You can do like the Jeep windows if you wanted to. I like the way it looks right now, but all the body panels are removable with these little Allen heads right there. The windshield can come out, the roof can come off, the roof rack can come off, all the panels. It's a very, very, very nice car, and you will not be disappointed. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I hope this answers all of your questions and concerns. I know I talk a lot in the video, but I want to make sure I kind of go over everything on the entire car. Thank you.